Hello learners. In today's class we will study about correlation. Correlation is a very important tool which is used frequently in mathematics. Correlation is the relationship that exists between two or more variables. Like suppose x and y are two variables, then with the help of correlation we just interpret the relationship between x and y. For example, suppose two mangoes cost 10 rupees, then what will be the cost of 4 mango? Then it will be 20 rupees. So in change in quantity there is a change in price. So these two variables are related to each other, means quantity and price are related to each other. So this is the correlation. If two variables are related to each other in such a way that that change in one create a corresponding change in the other, then the variable are said to be correlated. There are some example, that relationship between height and weight. Height and weight means if height is so much, then weight will be little bit higher. Similarly, relationship between quantum of rainfall and yield of wheat. If rainfall will be good, then wheat production of wheat will also be good. If rainfall will less, then the production of wheat will be also be less. Relationship between price of commodity and demand. If suppose price will rise, then the demand will become less. Okay, if suppose price is very less, then demand will automatically rise. So there is a relationship between price of commodity and demand. Relationship between the age of husband and age of wife. There is also a relationship. If age is more, then the wife age will also be more. Relationship between dose of insulin and blood sugar, means blood sugar, according to blood sugar level we are just taking a dose of insulin. A relationship between the age of individual and their blood pressure. Similarly, relationship between expenditure and sale. So these all quantities, these all variables are related to each other, means if one will increase, then other will increase. If one will decrease, then other will decrease. Or if one will increase, then other will decrease. Or one will decrease, then other will increase. This is the scenario, means there are four possibility, that one will increase, then other will also increase. One will decrease, then other will also decrease. One will increase, the other will decrease. One will decrease, other will increase. So this is the four scenarios which may be possible in correlation. Correlation, sometimes also known as covariation. The measure of correlation is called a correlation coefficient. Now next is meaning of correlation analysis. So what is the meaning of this? Correlation analysis is a statistical technique used to measure the degree and direction of relationship. Means which kind of relation is there. Means whether one is increasing, then other is increasing, or whether one is increasing, then other is decreasing, or whether one is decreasing, then other is decreasing. Which kind of relationship is there, that we are finding out with the help of correlation. Uses of correlation: we can use correlation in economic theory and business study. Show relationship between the variable like price and quantity, demand, advertising expenditure and shelf promotion. Correlation analysis helps in deriving precisely the degree and direction of the such relationship, means it's very important. Like similarly, one more example I want to give you. Suppose a number of workers and days taken to finish a work. If number of worker will increase, then days will they will take less days. If number of days will if number of worker will decrease, then they will take more days. So there is a increase and decrease kind of correlation is also there. So correlation analysis helps in deriving precisely the degree and the direction of such relationships. The effect of correlation is to reduce the range of uncertainty. So the rise there, if there is a rise in number of workers, then there is a decrease. It will take less days to complete a work. So the effect of correlation is to reduce the range. The third point is the effect of correlation is reduce the range of uncertainty in our prediction. The prediction based on correlation analysis will be more reliable near to reality. Means if we will do a prediction with the help of correlation, then it will be more realistic, it will be more perfect as comparison to any other method through which we are doing prediction. Correlation analysis contribute to the understanding of economic behavior, aids of locating the critically important variables on which other depend, may reveal the economist and the connections by which disturbance spread, and suggest to him the path through which stabilizing force may become effective. Means overall, if we can tell that correlation analysis contributes to the understanding of economic behavior. Whole economy is just depends on correlation, that if we will invest in this sector more money, then it will give us profit more, or what is the correlation, we are investing more and we are getting less. So what is the correlation? Because correlation is of also many types. Some correlation are means we will study further that there is a types of correlation through which you can understand whether it is a strong correlation, means perfect correlation, or it is a weak correlation. So we can understand with the help of some examples. So now I am just explaining about the uses of correlation. So in this way, the measure of coefficient of correlation is a relative measure of change. Our next is positive and negative correlation. So what is the meaning of positive and negative correlation? Depending upon the direction of change of the variable, correlation may be positive or negative. If both the variables vary in the same direction, correlation is said to be positive. What is the meaning of this? If one variable increases, other also increases. If one variable is decreases, other also decreases, then the correlation is said to be positive correlation. Now you understand what will be the meaning of negative correlation. If one is increasing, other is also increasing, means like price of a mangoes is increasing, then if suppose the quantity of a mangoes are increasing, then price is also increasing. Quantity is decreasing, then price is also decreasing. So this kind of relation is known as positive relation. Like the price is increasing, demand is decreasing, then this is not a positive correlation. So here, if height, you have seen this kind of chart, that if your height is 158 centimeter, then your weight must be this 60 kg. If 161, then 62, like this kind. Means here, if height is increasing, then weight is also increasing. If height is decreasing, then weight is also decreasing. So this kind of correlation is known as positive correlation. Now next is negative correlation. As the name, negative correlation. What is the negative? If both the variables vary in opposite direction, the correlation is said to be negative. Like one is increasing, other is decreasing. One is decreasing, other is increasing, then it is known as negative correlation. Like I have given an example of a number of worker and days taken to complete. Like if number of worker is more, then days to be taken to finish a work is less. If number of worker is less, then days to be taken to finish a work will be more. So if price is more, demand is less. If price is less, demand is more. So this kind of correlation is known as negative correlation. So it's very easy. Now there are also many, we are also just dividing correlation into, depending upon the study of number of variables, correlation may be simple or multiple. When only two variables are studied, means like height and weight, only two variables are there, x and y, then we are telling it simple correlation. Because when two variables are studied, it is a case of simple correlation. For example, one studies the relationship between the yield of wheat per acre and the amount of rainfall. Means we are just comparing, we are finding out a correlation between rainfall and yield of wheat. मतलब how much production will be of wheat if amount of rainfall is this much. So this type of correlation is known as simple correlation, when there is two variables only. Multiple correlation, when three or more variables are studied, it is the case of multiple correlation. For example, when one studies the relationship between yield of wheat per acre, amount of rainfall and amount of fertilizer, means three variables are there, then this kind of correlation is known as multiple correlation. So don't think that with the help of correlation we are only finding out the relationship between two variables. We can find out the relationship between more, you can find out the correlation between more and more variable, like amount of wheat, yield of wheat per acre, amount of rainfall and amount of fertilizers. These three variables are there. Suppose you are considering it x, y and z, so you can find out the correlation with these, among these three variables also. And one more criteria is there to like a multiple correlation be either partial or total. Now multiple correlation is also divided into two part: partial multiple and total multiple correlation. So what is partial multiple correlation? In case of partial multiple correlation, one studies three or more variables but considers only two variable to be influencing each other, and the effect of other influencing variable being held constant. Means its order depends on the number of variable which are held constant. If one variable is kept constant, it is the first order partial correlation. Means suppose three variables are there to be taken, but one we are taking just constant. Means whatever the y and z will be there, x will remain constant. So this kind of multiple correlation is known as partial correlation. Next is total multiple correlation. Means what? In case of total multiple, one studies three or more variable without excluding the effect of any. Means we cannot exclude the effect of other one. All three variables are very important, and all three are responsible for giving a result. So all these this kind of correlation is known as total multiple correlation. Afterwards, there is one more kind through which we are dividing correlation, like depending upon the constancy of the ratio of change between the variable, the correlation may be linear or non-linear. If the amount of change in one variable, what is linear correlation and what is non-linear correlation? If the amount of change in one variable bears a constant ratio to the amount of change in other variable, the ratio is constant. Like see here, milk and cheese. If 10 liter, then cheese is 2 kg. 20 liter, then cheese is 4 kg. 30 liter, then cheese is 6 kg. If you will divide it, you will get a ratio 5 only. So if the ratio is constant, means if you will draw a graph, is also like just like a linear, means a single straight line will be there. So this kind of correlation is known as linear correlation, in which there is a constant, one variable bears a constant ratio to the amount of change in the other variable, then the correlation is said to be linear. And if such variables are plotted on a graph, then it will be a straight line like this. Okay, so here you can see this is the example. Now next is non-linear. Non-linear correlation means what? If the amount of change in one variable does not bear a constant ratio. Means with depending upon the constant ratio, we are dividing correlation in non-linear and linear. If there is a constant ratio, you will get the graph like this. If there is a non-linear correlation, then maybe graph is like this, or maybe graph is like this. So many kinds of may be possible. So here see, here the ratio is 5, here is the ratio is 3, 1 by 3, 6 by 15, it will be 2 by 5. So the ratios are not constant, and so this kind of graph is known as, means this kind of correlation is known as non-linear correlation or curvilinear. Because if you will draw the graph, you will get the curvilinear, means you can get a curve figure. Next is so here one example I have given. You have to state that whether it is a positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation. Ages of husband and wife. So if age of husband is more, then wife age will also be more, so it is a positive. Yield of crop and amount of rainfall. If amount of rainfall is good, then yield of crop will also be good. This is also positive. Next is dose of insulin and blood sugar. If suppose blood sugar is more, then dose of insulin will be also more. If blood sugar level is less, so then dose of insulin will be more. Yes, there is a negative correlation, because if you know that why we are taking insulin. If blood sugar level is less, then we are taking more insulin. If blood sugar level is high, then we are taking less insulin. So there is a negative correlation. Unit of produced and fixed cost per unit. If suppose more you are units produced and fixed cost per unit, so this is also a negative correlation. Number of girls in a class and marks of a boys. There is a no correlation. What is the relation between number of girls and marks obtained by boys? There is no relation, so we are writing just no correlation. Sixth is quantum of cholesterol and number of heart attack. This is also quantum of cholesterol will be more than number of heart attacks will also be more. Price of commodity and demand of a commodity. Price will be more than demand will be less. Number of competitor and price of a product. competitor, if more competitors are there, price will automatically go down. You know this. In the field of mobiles also it is happening, like so many mobile competitors are there, those who are producing more and more good smartphones, like Vivo, then Poco, then Mi, then so many competitors are there, and there is a competition that who will launch a good phone in a cheap price, and that particular phone having more and more features. So there is a competition. So if there is more competition, the price will automatically go less. So there is a negative correlation. Similarly, temperature and sales of woolen garment, if more temperature will be there, then the sale of woolen garment will be less. So there is a negative correlation. So answers are also written. You can just go through all the examples for a better understanding. Next is method of studying correlation. Now we will study about this only, that methods of studying correlation. One method is graphic and another one is algebraic. So graphic method is scatter diagram and graphic method, and algebraic method, Karl Pearson coefficient method, rank method, which is also known as a Spearman constant coefficient of rank, and then a concurrent deviation method. So we will study more deeply about algebraic method, because this is a more preferred method for finding out correlations. This is earlier it was graphical method was used, but nowadays no one is using these methods for finding out correlation. Algebraic method is more frequently used in all the cases. Like, see, it is same as finding out real linear. Suppose you have a linear equation like this, equal to 2, and one more equation. Okay, I'm just giving you example that why we are not using x is equal to 2, and suppose 2x plus 3y equal to 5, and you have to find out the value of x and y. This kind of question we have done in our junior classes. So suppose you have to find the value of x and y. So for this we have studied elimination method, substitution method, and cross multiplication method. Now no one is going to solve this question with the help of graphs. Earlier what we are doing, we are just finding out 2 points for this equation and 2 points for this equation, and then we are just drawing graphs according to these equations, and plotting. After plotting the graph, we are finding out the value of x and y. So this is very lengthy method. Nowadays we are just using elimination method or cross multiplication method for finding out the value of x and y, for finding out any solution of linear equation in two variables. Similarly, for finding out correlation also, nowadays no one is using graphical method. Algebraic method is more easy, and it is preferred more by all the statisticians and mathematicians. So we will we will study about Karl Pearson method of correlation, and rank method, and concurrent deviation method. These three methods are very important. But we will just get a small introduction about what is a scatter diagram, what is graphic method. So this is all for today's lecture. If you have any kind of doubt, you can ask in discussion forum. Thank you.